Welcome to the Collective Minds podcast.
It's never fucking had it.
Shut. No way.
Never fucking
No
had it.
way.
Like, Austin, you trying to tell something else right now?
As humans, everybody lives in the same reality. We could all be in the same room together, but we perceive it differently.
All that experience, all that emotions, all the things that happen in that one life is boiled down to what we call instinct. And that's the only thing we can bring over to the next life.
If you unbehave, you'll be canceled.
Coincidence? Coincidence? Coincidence. There cannot be three. All right. Hello and welcome back to the Collective Minds podcast. Breaking news. We started this, yesterday? Day before? New thing, right? Attacking Iran again, but at the same time not new, as I'm going to go over a little bit of history behind that. But yeah, Trump's out here, guess dodging the news and then popping up going, the supreme leader, it's Ayatollah Khamenei. Best I'm going to do. So, yeah, don't harass me too bad in the comments about that. But there you go. Gonna hit a couple news articles. Breaking. Being updated. I love these when it's being updated by the minute. Says in a tearful address, the state TV presenter announcing Khamenei's death said the country will enter 40 days of mourning. It's probably not a good time to do that if your country's being destroyed. And personally, I'm not on anyone's side in this. I'm not sure why we are blowing up another Eastern country. Feels a lot like we're doing it for the Jews. However, I feel like everyone's a bad guy at this point. So we'll see what's going on. They're real good friends with China. That's what I do know. Iranian state TV has just confirmed his death. We'll bring you more information as it comes. China envoy to UN says red line was crossed in the strikes. Coming from China, right? More from the UN Security Council's emergency meeting earlier. China's envoy, Fu Kong, said the country is deeply concerned by strikes on Iran by the U.S. and Israel, expressing concern about reports of civilian casualties, because they are. They are going to report that, and that's what happens. Not going to justify it at all. I think it's all bad. I think it's all stupid. I think it's 2026 now. We should be able to, solve our differences in better ways. Like we just did. No civilian casualties, right? When we went and took the other leader with our futuristic weapons, making people's ears bleed and stuff like that. He called for an immediate cessation of military action in the region to prevent further escalation. At all times, the red line for protecting civilians in armed conflict must not be crossed. And the indiscriminate use of force is unacceptable, he said, calling on all parties to fulfill their obligations under international law and humanitarian law. That's coming from China. You see this happen with everyone, right? I feel like they are all the bad guys. And when they're being bad, they have an excuse for it, and other countries talk about them just like this. China is ready to work with the international community to unite efforts to promote peace and stability in the Middle East as soon as possible, he added. So funny. Yeah, I read this, and China kind of sounds like a bitch right now. They're usually threatening crazy war, which this could definitely lead to World War III. But that's not what you say when someone starts blowing up your best buddy's country, right? Says, while the traveling press pool has not seen Donald Trump today, the U.S. president has been busy calling various American networks throughout the course of the day. In a call with Bob Acosta of CBS, the BBC's U.S. news partner, and that's why BBC's blowing up right now, Trump said that the U.S. is doing well so far in the strikes and that a diplomatic solution remains easily within reach. Much easier now than it was a day ago, obviously, because they are getting beaten up pretty badly, he said. So he just killed their leader. And that's where we're at. That is where we are at. Refresh, see if anything else pops up here. Yeah, so I'm not entirely sure. I'm not sure anyone is on the actual reasons, but they're giving the same reason, that they're working on nuclear weapons again. That's what it is. So we got to attack, and they're trying to start a revolution there in Iran to change the entire society's politics. Just jump over here. So they're calling it Operation Epic Fury. It says, explain why did U.S. and Israel attack Iran? The United States and Israel have launched extensive attacks on Iran in response to its nuclear activity. Strikes targeted multiple cities, escalating tensions in the Middle East. And yeah, I'm sure plenty of civilians were killed, unfortunately. And if, Israel has anything to do with it, they'd love when they kill women and children. Or elderly house cats. They're into that kind of thing, unfortunately. And I do not know why we are still friends with them. I have a theory that this is some crazy, weird chess game where Israel ends up burying itself in some sort of situation when the entire world turns their back on them by the end of this. But who knows? I could be wrong. That's kind of what I'm just hoping. The United States and Israel launched a barrage of attacks against Iran, an operation that was described as Operation Epic Fury by the U.S. Department of War. Explosions were reported in different Iranian cities, including Tehran, Qom, Isfahan, Kermanshah, and something else. A couple of them. The operation has led to fears of massive escalation of tensions in the Middle East, with the long-running shadow conflict between Washington, Tel Aviv, and Tehran, culminating into full-blown military operations. The disagreement between the nations stemmed from Iran's nuclear activities, its ballistic missiles, as well as its support for armed groups in the Middle East. So, it's weird how the U.S. propaganda machines talk about these people. Because usually they're on the back burner, right? Third world country, not a big deal. But then they talk about them as a superpower. Like competitor. Like, oh, we're afraid we're going to get nuked by them. Which one is it? How the operation began. The strikes were started by Israel with its aircraft carrying out preemptive operation. Immediately after, American forces became part of the operation, launching attacks against Iranian targets. American Navy ships in the region are said to have launched Tomahawk cruise missiles against Iranian targets, according to the American officials quoted by the New York Times. Shortly after the strikes, President Donald Trump, via an 8-minute-long video he released on the social media platform Truth Social, said American forces had initiated major combat operations in Iran. Trump identified the objectives of the attack, there we go, saying that the attack would help to eliminate the so-called imminent threats posed by the Iranian government. Crazy, isn't it? We are literally like their protector. Because there is no way these people, the imminent attack on the U.S. It's not going to happen. But it's our super ally, our best buddy. That doesn't give us anything, but we give and give and give all of our tax dollars to. And, welfare recipients, our biggest welfare recipients, besides our own politicians and everyone else in government. It's the Israelis. Destroy the missiles that Iran uses to attack others, destroy the naval power of the country, and prevent the country from acquiring nuclear power. I think what this is we're trying to destroy them off the map, relocate them, right? The whole Gaza situation, same exact thing going on here. And then give Israel more land. It's just the land grab. You can see it all over the U.S. as well, with our national forests disappearing and horrible things happening to the private owners of parts of those forests. That way BLM can get a hold of it. Quote, the lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, Trump said, but we're doing this not for now. We're doing this for the future, and it's a noble mission. Huh. It's bad. At least with 9/11, they faked an attack first. This is just, ooh, the scary boogeyman's gonna get you. Oh, he's gonna get you. I don't know. Trump also called for the support of the people of Iran and the country's security forces, saying that they should lay down their weapons in order to receive immunity, and that they should rise against the government, even as they remain indoors due to the expected continuation of the strike. I'll give Trump one thing on this. He gets the job done very quickly. This isn't a 20-year war. I mean, what, second day? And their leader's dead. Very precisional. And that's how war should be. We are that advanced. A lot of people like to disagree with that, but whatever technology that we're seeing, they've already had it for about 50 years, if not longer. They're so advanced, they're not going to tell us what they could do, that when you do see conflict back and forth for a long period of time, it's propaganda. It's a money-making machine. It's being funded by the same people all the time. It's like a ritualistic sacrifice as well. Addressing the situation, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that the attack was majorly aimed at removing the existential threat posed by the terrorist regime in Iran, and called for the people of Iran to rise against the government. There you go. They're trying to change the politics of the Middle East, and I think they're going to end up doing it. The strikes come amid increased U.S. military deployment in the region, which includes 2 carrier strike groups, warships, and a dozen of fighter jets. The deployment was intended to pressure Iran to negotiate the limits of its nuclear activities, which we've been seeing for months now. Things being moved around the world. U.S. ships moving. But it's funny because you're like, oh, it could be normal. It could be something, right? Nefarious about to happen, and then they come out with this, and you can tell. CNN quoted American officials as saying that the operation is expected to continue over several days and is a phased operation, not a single-day strike like earlier. Operation Epic Fury is considered to be one of the most substantial direct American military actions in the Middle East since the withdrawal of American forces from Afghanistan. I'd say substantial, but not in a good way. Biden ruined that, if we're to believe that whoever Biden was in control. Pretty insane. So, tell me down in the comments what you know about this. I know you guys at this point are going to know more than I do. I try to avoid the breaking news, especially this kind of propaganda. What do you think is going on? What do you think what's next? What's going to happen next? Let me pull up this list here. I want to bring it up. I just asked Jay from it, but he says not in order, but Venezuela, Cuba, Greenland, Iran, Canada, Colombia, Mexico. There might be a couple more, but those are the countries that Trump wants to take over, like a secret list. Here we go. We're on number 2. So just over a year and 2 months, year and a month into his term, and we already got 2 of them. That's what it looks like. Let's jump over, see if there's anything else here. U.S. and Israel say Iran Supreme Leader Khamenei is dead. Democrats split over Trump's response to Iran strikes. Oil shipments in Persian Gulf already disrupted by Iran attack. So, there we go. I'm sure that's going to hurt others more than us, but we're already feeling it. It's almost like you can tell when we're going to go to war when the gas jumps up 50 cents 2 weeks before. That's what I'm getting out of this. Yeah, I apologize for the voice there as well. These sicknesses that keep coming through are incredible and everlasting. Flights canceled as travel warnings issued after strikes on Iran. Here we go. The most bitter news, Iran reels as more than 100 children reportedly killed in school. You don't know what to believe these days, and it's insane. So, jumping over here, I won't go through the very beginning, but I just found this. This is pretty cool. U.S.-Iran conflict, for those that don't know, it's a timeline of how we got here. So, 1951 tension over British influence in Iran. Since the early 1900s, the British government has retained control over Iran's oil reserves through the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company. By the time Mohammad Mossadegh is appointed prime minister, Iranians are tired of foreign involvement in their affairs and call for Iranians to regain control of their natural resources. Okay, are growing louder. So they want their independence. 1953, CIA overthrows Iran's democracy. Okay. 1957 says nuclear cooperation. The U.S. signs a civil nuclear cooperation agreement with Iran. The agreement provides Iran with technology and resources that eventually become the foundation for its controversial nuclear program. So we gave it to them. Yeah. The Iranian Revolution. Millions of Iranians take to the streets in protest of the Shah's regime, which they view as corrupt and illegitimate. Secular protesters oppose authoritarianism, while Islamist protesters oppose modernization of agenda. And I feel like that's what we're doing now. That is a perfect way to describe the Middle East, right? Modernization agenda. The Shah flees the country, so ran him out. Iran hostage crisis. Iranian students storm the U.S. Embassy in Tehran and take dozens of American hostages. They demand the Shah, who had been admitted into the U.S. for cancer treatment. So they want the guy that was screwing them over, their dictator, to be sent back and stop being protected from the U.S., which obviously was put there by us. Iran-Iraq war begins. U.S. declares Iran a sponsor of terrorism in 1984 under Reagan's administration. The Iran-Contra affair. While the U.S. is backing Iraq in its war with Iran, President Reagan's administration covertly begins looking into ways to improve its relationship with Iran. Says Reagan approved a high-profit sale in hopes that it will yield the return of Americans held hostage in Lebanon by Hezbollah, a militia with close ties to Iran. U.S. shoots down an Iranian plane in 1988, 2 years later. Okay, probably not good. We're the bully here. That's what it's looking like. 1997, Soleimani appointed head of the Quds Force. Rising up through the ranks of the Iran Revolutionary Guard Corps, is appointed chief commander of the Quds Force, an elite special forces unit that handles Iran's overseas operations. He is instrumental in spreading Iran's influence in the Middle East and soon becomes one of the country's most powerful leaders. So there we go. 2002, George Bush declares Iran part of an axis of evil. Of course, we had to stay there. I don't know why. Somebody tell me. I don't know what it was. I feel like it's all for Israel. For land, power, some biblical war that should not exist. Run by the synagogue of Satan, sacrificing the people that are actually believe they're Jewish for their leader. If you know who I'm talking about. After the 9/11 attacks, Iran quietly helps the U.S. in its war against the Taliban, a mutual enemy of both countries. But in a State of the Union address, President George Bush refers to Iran, along with Iraq and North Korea, just puts them all together, as part of an axis of evil. The speech incites anger in Iran. I would too. You comparing me to North Korea? I'd be pissed. It's a threat. That was a threat. He's threatening we're going to come take you. 2003, a year later, of course, nuclear threat. As the U.S. voices concerns that Iran is attempting to develop nuclear weapons, inspectors from the International Atomic Energy Agency announced they've found traces of highly enriched uranium at a nuclear plant in Iran. Tehran agrees to suspend production of enriched uranium and allow stricter inspections of its nuclear sites, but it's short-lived. President Mahmoud something would come into power a few years ago and restart Iran's production on enriched uranium, prompting years of international sanctions against the country. So 2013, Iran's nuclear deal is signed. 2017, Trump takes office. A week after his inauguration, President Donald Trump signs an executive order banning nationals from 7 Muslim-majority nations, including Iran, from entering the U.S. for 90 days. Iran calls the ban an obvious insult to the Islamic world and responds by conducting a ballistic missile test. So, you're racist, we're going to start testing our weapons. Because every time we seem to do anything, the U.S. gets really butthurt about it. The back and forth marks a sudden escalation in tensions between the two countries, raising concerns about the future of the Iran nuclear deal. Which, right around this time, right? That's when they were like, oh, they're a superpower, they're going to blow us up, kill us. The propaganda is strong with this one. 2018, in May, Trump quits the Iran nuclear deal. Trump fulfills a campaign promise and announces he is withdrawing the U.S. from the Iran nuclear deal, which he viewed as one-sided. He also says he will place new sanctions on the regime. Critics warn the move could lead Iran to restart its atomic program and set the stage for more conflict in the Middle East. Someone should have told him. U.S. labels IRGC a terrorist organization. Iran blamed for attacks in the Gulf. Iran reduces commitments to nuclear deal. December, U.S. strikes facilities in Iraq and Syria. 2020. U.S. kills Soleimani and Iran responds. Trump says he ordered an airstrike in Iraq to kill Iran's top general, Soleimani, a move that previous U.S. presidents had considered far too provocative. Thousands of people fled the streets of Iran to mourn him. Their furious vows. Let's see what happened here. Ultimately firing missiles at Iraqi bases that house American troops a few days later. No lives are lost, and Trump responds by promising more sanctions. As tensions is running high, Iran mistakenly shoots down a Ukrainian passenger jet, attributing it to a fear of U.S. aggression. All 176 people on board are killed. That's oops. Big oops there. Talks revived under Biden. U.S. President Jim Carrey attempts to revive the nuclear deal. Iran and the U.S. hold indirect talks in Vienna. The talks continue despite an apparent explosion at Iran's Natanz nuclear facility. Iran blames the explosion on Israel and announces it will ramp up uranium enrichment to 60% purity. Biden says this decision is not helpful. So there to go. Who's the real insightful one here? We are the big brother going, better not hit my little brother, but the little brother's just full on attacking. Let's see. Iran's new president. Okay. 2022, Russia invades Ukraine. That's where they're buddies with them. So, 2023, U.S. and Iran agree prisoner swap. 5 Americans are freed from an Iranian detention as part of a wider deal that includes the U.S. unfreezing $6 billion in Iranian funds held in South Korea, and the release of 5 Iranians from U.S. custody. After the release, the U.S. imposes sanctions on Iran's Ministry of Intelligence and former president, not even going to try, over the lack of information about another American, Bob Levinson, who is believed to have died while detained in Iran. So October 7th, Hamas attacks Israel. 2024, Iran attacks Israel with drones and missiles. And then in July, remember this one, guys? Iran plots to assassinate Trump. U.S. authorities obtain intelligence from a human source on a plot by Iran to try to assassinate Donald Trump. Sources tell CNN. Yeah, super believable there. The U.S. government had repeatedly warned that Iran may try to retaliate for the 2020 U.S. drone strike that killed Soleimani by trying to kill Trump, who ordered the strike, or his former advisors. October 1st, Iran launches missile attack on Israel. Then here we go, 2025. Trump's letter to Khamenei. Trump returns to office in January, reinstating his campaign of maximum pressure on Iran. In March, to Israel. In March, he sends a letter to Iran's supreme leader, Khamenei, proposing negotiations on a new nuclear deal. He gives a 2-month deadline to reach an agreement. So, April 2025, indirect talks resume. The U.S. and Iran hold largely indirect talks in Oman, the first between the Trump administration and Tehran. A second round of high-level talks between U.S. and Iranian delegations take place in Rome, with Oman again acting as a mediator. Both sides express optimism after the summit. 3 more rounds follow, but Iran's insistence that it has the right to enrich uranium remains a major sticking point. It's energy, right? I think it's just more about the limit. Trump optimistic about a deal, and then Israel attacks Iran, and then the U.S. strikes Iran, and that's where we were at. I think what was just going on was Trump said, you got 10 days to sign the deal, or you're fired, and we're here. So thought this was cool. Could pull up the whole thing and see where am I at. Well, it's on CNN, and just so everyone knows, we read CNN, we read the other side, the opposition, which at this point it's both sides, but I've always read left-wing media because you can see through the lines. But this was pretty well put together. You can see where it's angling at they're the bad guys, but you get down to the Trump and he's really the bad guy. But yeah, propaganda. Gotta love it. Anyway, let us know what you think about this down in the comments and any more interesting news about it or things that you could let us know, and maybe we'll talk about it on the next one. But make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and see you soon.